And Melinda, go ahead and take it away.
Super. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Next slide, please. A little bit about us. You all know that we are owned by Kauffman Foundation, and they help us with other groups across the country. We have, I think, about 120 other groups, and they are our parent. Next slide, please. Our mission, as everybody knows, and our is really that we're about presentations, not pitches. We're authentic connections, not networking. We're run for the community and by the community, and we're radically and intentionally inclusive. Next slide, please. Welcome visitors, first-time visitors in the room. Lewis, you're one I don't recognize. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Certainly. Took me a little while to get off of mute. So my name is Louis Delahose. I am the managing director of Delahose Growth Partners, a new business that I started here in Northern Virginia. I was recommended the 1 Million Cups by a colleague who attended the session in South Carolina. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody here. I'm looking forward to becoming part of this community and helping the folks here. I don't know, Melinda, you said no sales pitches or whatever, so I don't know if you, part of the introduction, you want me to say what I do or?
Sure.
You're doing great. If you want to tell us a little bit about your business very quickly, you can do it.
Excellent, thank you. So I've been in, for over 30 years, I've been helping businesses, both large and small, grow. And the way I do that is by helping them organize a sales strategy that's aligned with a business strategy. And in doing so, I help them generate an integrated plan that they can then take to their sales team. And then I help them execute that, right? I focus on companies that are at a crossroads. They're either experiencing declining sales and want to help turn that around. They're either not seeing the expectation that they are has set aside for their sales organization, so they're getting inconsistent type of performance, or they're growing so fast that they're out of control and then they want to figure out how to bring it back in control so they can keep growing, right? I live in Fairfax, Virginia, the county of Fairfax. I have 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren. So thank you for letting me introduce myself. Really appreciate it.
Welcome.
I look
We
forward to
see
meeting
you coming.
everybody.
Yeah. Are there any other first timers here? I didn't notice anybody. Next slide, please. Everybody, we like you guys to check in. We get swag that we give away at our live meetings and other types of that stuff, and it keeps us accountable to everybody who's coming. So please scan the QR code. Give you a second to grab it. Actually, I should do it too, and then I'll know, and I'll get it later. Next slide, please. Well, we can't do this without all of our organizers and our organizing team and our brand ambassadors. And here is everybody today. Next slide, please. We have 2 sponsors. We have our sponsor who is our host for us on our live meetings. The next meeting will be a live meeting. And then we also have Green Fair. Jen, can you talk about maybe both? Because I don't see John here.
Sure. I may tag team and give somebody else some airtime as well. John Rudenberg, be ready. Mason Enterprise Center Fairfax is an incubator. It is open to all businesses looking to scale. What's unique about MEC Fairfax is that they have dedicated mentors that are part of their services to help businesses grow. They have over 18 mentors. They have office space as well. You can also be a virtual member. We actually host, as Melinda said, our in-person meeting in their big training room, which seats up to 50 people. So if you're interested in maybe being a speaker there, or you're interested as a business owner to have space where you can collaborate, since Sometimes being an entrepreneur can be lonely. Do check it out. You can see the website there, mec-fairfax.org. And again, check out Eddie Hill. He is a fantastic collaborator of ours, and we're thrilled to have him as our partner. John Rittenberg, would you mind speaking to Green Fair?
Sure. So John Foster, one of our organizers, is a primary promoter of Green Fair in a professional role. And it's a plant-based restaurant, catering, and educational enterprise that really cares about lowering your cholesterol and improving heart health and all of the different ills that folks suffer through, using their plant-based menu as the foundation of good health. For Mr. Foster, he's a case in point because when I first met him, he had lost an amazing 25% of his body weight, 20% of his body weight in the couple of years before I met him. So Green Fair is both tasty, a fun place to visit, and a very heart healthy way to eat good food. So check out Green Fair. They're somewhere in Fairfax.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, John. Next slide, please. How our meetings work. Most of you already know, so I don't have to go through detail, but when Jen is our MC, or our, lost the word, moderator, excuse me, sorry. And after the presentation, you will need to take your time, but be very precise and say your name, what your question is, and then just ask one question. After that, our presenters will respond to that, and then we'll go on to the next question. Next slide, please. Our presenters today are Alyssa and Layla, and from WAVE. They're coming back, and we're really excited about their presentation. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you. And I'll just share my screen now.
You'll see the challenge question. Layla and Alyssa are presenting today as well.
And I sent in a request to share my screen.
Yep, you should be able to now.
Hey, Alyssa.
Hi, good to see everyone.
All right. So if everyone's ready, we'd love to get started. Alyssa, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. My name is Alyssa. I'm a sophomore at Georgetown University. I'm Wave's co-founder and so excited to present this with you all.
Awesome. All right, so let's get started. So as Alyssa already introduced herself, my name is Layla, and I'm another co-founder of Wave. And essentially, Wave is the future of easy and meaningful in-person connection. So I hope you all enjoy the presentation. Right now, Americans watch thousands of human interactions a day on Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You all know it. We spend hours messaging, emailing, and calling others all through our screens. 20 years ago, though, Americans averaged about an hour a day interacting with people in person. But today, it's just 20 minutes. Without in-person connection, most relationships are not moving beyond the surface. And when we as a community fail to form deep connections with others who have the potential to become our close friends and trusted collaborators, it's resulting in a significant loss of value for our society as a whole. And we're suffering big time. That lack of connection shows up in how people feel, more isolated and disconnected than ever. Mark Zuckerberg actually points out that while the average person has space for about 15 close friends, most only have about 3. His proposed fix: to fill the rest with AI bots. That's not so great of a plan. And even in the workplace where we spend most of our time, connection isn't far better. Professionally, things are just the same as far as terrible. Without strong early relationships, people miss out on mentorship. One in three of every new hire actually ends up quitting within the first 6 months, often because they never formed the connections they needed, costing the company about a third of that employee's salary just to replace them. So we decided to take initiative and try to fix this. We began by interviewing over 70 first-year students at Georgetown University, and we heard the same things, that they wanted deeper connections and they wanted to feel like they belong, but they didn't know how to spark this. The causes: packed schedules, tight cliques, and social anxiety. So we built Wave. It's a mobile app that helps people stay open and available for real-world connection. Wave removes the pressure of planning and the anxiety of asking. You just signal when you're free, whether for a bite, a workout, or just a quick break, and people can join your circle and go and do it with you. Here's a really quick demo.
And people want this. We already have 300 students on our waitlist at Georgetown. Next slide, please. And in our initial beta with 30 plus users, we saw people forming friendships they never thought possible. Unlike other apps that just claim to connect people, Wave actually helps people connect in real life, spontaneously and naturally. And the best part, we can do this profitably. Our revenue model has 3 streams. First, a Wave Plus subscription, which individual users can pay for faster or more personalized waves. Secondly, sponsorships from local businesses allows them to host more in-person traffic and social meetups at their venues. Thirdly, private licensing allows companies to pay us to offer Wave with custom features for their communities. Our 3 revenue streams put together present an incredible opportunity. We've estimated at our TAM we could earn 1.73 billion in ARR. At our SAM, 320 million in ARR. In our SOM, 7.7 million. For a breakdown on these numbers, feel free to ask about our appendix.
So what's next? We're exploring sponsorship contracts with 5 local businesses, and we're also prepared to run a major pilot at Georgetown in partnership with the Office of Student Transitions, reaching over 450 students this coming semester, and setting us up for campus-wide adoption among the 2,000 freshmen within the next year.
At the same time, we've been exploring the corporate side. We've interviewed talent leaders at firms like Deutsche Bank, Wells Fargo, and Morgan Stanley. It's clear that early career employees are struggling with the same problems: low engagement, poor retention, and a lack of organic connection. That's where Wave can make a difference too. Our long-term vision is to make Wave a lightweight social infrastructure for every stage of life. We want to expand from college to early careers to cities and beyond, building a dynamic, persistent map of your social network so that wherever you go, you can connect with people that you already know. Imagine landing in London for a business trip, and Wave instantly shows you 3 people from your extended network who are hanging out nearby and gives you a chance to meet up right then and there. Thank you so much for taking the time to explore Wave, the future of human connection in everyday life.
Thank you.
Awesome job, you guys. Thank you so much. Fantastic job. And if you want to stop sharing for the moment. So just to give folks who are returning or new, Layla and Alyssa presented a few months ago, took our feedback, went and placed 3rd in an amazing pitch competition that sort of launched them into raising funds. They've raised over 200,000 in funds right now, which is like ridiculously amazing as young college students at Georgetown. So for today, their challenge question, I'm going to put it back in chat again, is really about how do they think about hiring talent without sort of breaking the bank as they finish building out the app. So from a technology standpoint. Now, if you have other thoughts, feedback, ideas, questions for clarification, this is the perfect time to do that. You can raise your hand in the Zoom bar. I also have all of your lovely faces up on the screen. If you wave physically, I will see you as well. All right, to kick us off, Melanie, please. Good to see you.
Thank you. Excellent presentation. I am extremely interested. I'm not a college student, but I can see potential, especially with travel. and traveling to new countries and cities and meeting up with people. As far as your challenge question from a technology perspective, my background is in product and technology development. So I would have two questions, recommendations for you all. Do you have students at Georgetown or within the college sector that can partner with you, leveraging their computer science and AI? Specialty would be an option. I've had great success with contracting software developers through like Upwork, and Fiverr is also an option. There's some not so good quality, but there are other teams. Like I have a team that I'm working with, they're full stack, including AI. So there's potential there. And if you potentially leverage college students in offshore, it would decrease your costs without having to hire employees right off the bat.
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful recommendation. I would say just another question for you is if you knew anyone who's specifically specialized in mobile development, because I think that's something that we're really looking for. Definitely a lot of talented people out there, but having someone specialized would be really helpful.
I actually do. So if you want to, I will leave my information in chat and you can reach out to me directly. I would be happy to help.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure.
Thank you. Great way to start us off. John Norris, can you top that?
No, not even close. My question was, you're looking to contract you're not looking for employees. What are you looking for specifically? Like, do you have obviously some money? I imagine you can't afford employees. You're looking for some kind of contractor, right? Is that, I just want to make sure.
Definitely contractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll think about more questions. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. It's always good to have clarifying questions. AJ.
Yeah, so a couple of suggestions I have. One is what normally companies do is you can bring on the talent by offering some kind of equity. I don't know whether you guys are prepared for that or not in the company, or maybe part salary and part equity. I may be able to help you with I'll leave my information. I may be able to, connect you with someone who may be able to contribute into what you guys are developing. And another suggestion may be to team up with the companies who are already in the development space. And again, as part of the equity or whatever the arrangements you guys may want to work out, or you girls, something can work out, and that can lower the burden of the development cost on you. And then also the LinkedIn's and sometimes, advertising on LinkedIn and Indeed might help.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a great suggestion.
Thank you, AJ. Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm really excited about your product. I think it'll be fabulous once you get it going. The suggestion I have is, I don't know a lot about it, but there's something called DC Startup Week. I'm putting it in the chat. It's coming up in October. So that might be a possibility that you could check out. I think sometimes they have hackathons and things like that. So it might be something to check out as a resource.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Michael Butera. Let me just make sure you're unmuted.
That's strange for me not to be unmuted. I noticed in your presentation that you were looking at rather large businesses to work with. I'd like to suggest that you look into the association community. They have members all over the world, and simple little apps that they could use for connecting their members when they're on business trips and the like would be a remarkable thing for you. I'm not a technologist, so I can't help you on that end, but I think that that's a very fertile field for expanding what you're looking at as investors or vendors that you will be for them.
Yeah, that's a super helpful point. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear more. So are these associations related to corporations, companies, or are they like different business groups?
The association community in the United States, there are about 120,000 of them. So they cover all the things you mentioned: industrial groups, manufacturing groups, a lot of professional groups, doctors in the medical field, as an example, teachers are another one, and all kinds of specialties. I'll leave my email in the chat for you. And if you'll send me a note, we can do this offline. I can give you some leads.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Michael Bouter is a gem and an association expert, so definitely follow up with him. Melinda.
Have you looked into tie-ins with the campuses, with fraternities, sororities, the leadership? There's always a leadership group too that helps the student, and I'm saying student run on all of these, where you might also get some of these folks to step up and even represent their communities in having these, I'm going to call them meetups, but circles where you're getting together and just doing things socially. With the fraternities and sororities, they're national organizations, and you might be able to go through the interfraternity councils, which is really a nice way to reach people on campuses. And I know my campus had leadership just as in general, where we had a president, we had everybody else, and getting them involved. And maybe along with that, maybe you can partner with them where they get maybe an ad that tells a little bit about their group or something, not where it's pushy and selling, but just some interesting information about some of their members that might intrigue and get the interest of a lot of other people to come to these types of get-togethers.
That's really, really strong suggestion. I'm wondering, do you have any suggestions on like how to reach the kind of like heads of these sororities or fraternity organizations?
Yes, I can get you the national addresses and all of the above. They all exist very easily.
That would be so amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melinda. John Riedenberg.
Thank you to both of you again, and congratulations. Awesome having you back. So talk a little bit about the level of effort, the scope of work that is needed, whether you express it into 1,000 or 10,000 hours of work. I'm trying, in order to do your staffing, because that's your challenge question, I try to always work back from the development budget. And therefore, I understand more about the hours and levels required. And so, if, because your number one hire is most critical, even if it's a 1099. It's, presuming you have tight requirements that are all written out, and therefore, and a development based on levels and hours, a person power plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, talk to your development budget.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit to our development budget as far as deciding exactly how much of our funding we're allocating to like human resources. Currently, we've been really like focusing on using most of our budget towards that because we had to set up all of our legal structure, and for that we needed to pay lawyers and hire lawyers. So really, it's most of our funding has been for development. That hasn't been a lot because really we've only had 2 people contracted, or 3, but one of them we had some issues with. So it hasn't eaten up the entire, we've just kind of been like sectioning off pieces of it to give to contractors. And then as far as your second part, to talk to a little bit like hours that we are requiring, that was kind of issues that we had in the first, because we thought that like ratio of what we were paying to ratio of how many hours they were actually putting in was just like completely unrealistic. So as far as just depending on each job. So for example, the lawyers probably put in like 10 hours, 5 hours. And then we also have like calls with them throughout the week. And then for the designers, it's a little bit more, and they have a little bit more of an intense requirement because we want to make sure like our UI and UX is getting done and we have the ability to look at all of that. Alyssa, do you want to add to that anything?
Yeah, of course. So I know you mentioned specifically like development on the technical side. I would say in the short term, within the next 4 weeks, we have something settled for that. But in the long term, we definitely want something that someone who is very invested in the technical side of things. I would say for the next 4 weeks, it would be like anywhere from 10 to 20 hours a week. Any help on that front would be great because even though we have some leads, like we really want to find really special talent, whether it be now or for future term. In the next 4 weeks, it would be a total about like 40 to 80 hours, as I said, like 10 to 20 hours a week, and we have budget allocated towards that. We do have a milestone coming up for that.
Thank you. Prabmeet?
Thank you for sharing your idea, Alyssa and Layla. I'm loving it. I'm so glad that you started when you started because it is never going to be the right time other than now. So congratulations on that. I know Karen already mentioned the startup week. There is also something called as DC Tech Meetup, which happens usually in the DC area, but it could also spill into Virginia or Maryland, depending on where they're hosting it. They do have founders go in and pitch their product. So if you're looking for funding, that might help too. And they also have people looking for work over there. So there might be people coming in and say, hey, hey, I can help you. I can do this development, and then you can negotiate the rate based on your needs. One thing I would recommend, I know you're struggling, and I've done this in the past with our developers, is the hourly based versus outcome based. So you could try something like, I want this piece of design done or this piece of development done, regardless of how many hours they might use. If it's up to your standards and they have a fixed rate, the total dollar amount, that might be another way to look at it. Because then you're not struggling with, hey, you told me it's going to take 10 hours, you took 15. You don't care if they took 50 hours or 60 or 100, but this is the work you asked them to do, and that's the amount of money that you were going to pay them. They can take however many hours, right? So that's something, another thing to consider. I put in the link to the DC Tech Meetup in the chat. I think they have something coming up on September 3rd where it is talent focused. So that might be just the right time for you guys. Just wanted to wish you luck.
Thanks, Prabmeet.
Thank you so much.
A couple of thoughts, Layla and Alyssa. One is that having worked with developers, you do have to be very careful they're not having too much fun taking your money. So I like the idea of being outcome-based and approach. I would also want to know and make sure the lawyers have done this for you, that you retain full control of everything that is coded and that sits with you for IP and that they do not own it, period. I would also make sure they are signing NDAs so they can't go do anything else later. One of our past presenters, Curtis Dent, works for Insperity, and they can help you also map and plan out how do you plan your budget for scaling to 5 or 10 people. And he's happy to talk with you for free, like that's part of their services. So I'm happy to make that introduction because they also help facilitate the 1099 payment and things like that. But at some point soon, even though you're still students, you may still be hiring people and need HR people to help out. So that's not a distraction. That might be a resource to consider. I'm going to go to Melanie.
I just had one question. Are either one of you technical enough to guide the development? Because that would be critical in your next steps. You don't necessarily want to have to rely on, a third party to be able to handle your development would be my question. And then I also want to know if you have done research regarding your target customer base right now are students. Do you know what share of those students have iOS devices versus Android? Because that can also help to guide your MVP. And do you target iOS first or Android, or do you have to launch both simultaneously? So there's just a lot to consider from a MVP perspective. And then I also agree with having a a package, and that's what I did. It was very successful. It just really knowing what's your scope and what do you have to deliver for that initial launch would be critical.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely speak on that. I would say that I have a grasp on the technical side of things. I guided the development of our first initial MVP, and now we have a second, much more developed version. I would say I'm still not an engineer. I have a very overarching understanding of development and how the architecture works in the code base. I've experienced there. But that's why we're looking for extra help for someone who has deep expertise in that area. And in terms of iOS, I would say at least 80% of students at Georgetown, if not more, have iOS, and we've designed it to be that way. And that's how it's going to be for our pilot program.
Yeah, and I can add just a little bit as well on as far as like finding someone who could almost oversee. That was kind of also something that we struggled with, was we knew that we didn't have enough technical skill to really like, so it was a lot of like a learning process. And we did like do some interviews with students at Georgetown, a lot of them to try to find like someone who would be like a student who doesn't really have, they want the experience for like internship, you know, to put on a resume. But Georgetown isn't like too much of a tech school. So that's kind of an issue we've also been having. If anyone has recommendations on like outsourcing to other universities other than just kind of reaching out to clubs and thus things of that sort.
Luis?
Hey, Layla and Alicia, great presentation. It brought back a lot of memories for me. In my career path, I founded a company focused primarily and exclusively on mobile and wireless. And this is when mobile and wireless was not as prevalent or as pervasive as it is now, right? And so we knew our target market. Our target market was the field engineers, the police workers, people who needed to have connections on mobile and wireless for their, for the performance of their function. One of the things that we did, and I'm sure you guys have done, Alicia, you're a sophomore at university, is we needed to find a really, really top talent to bring in to the company. And so we went and visited with the head of the computer science department of the university and asked them to give us 3 top candidates that we can interview. And we did not want to say, give us one, because obviously that would put him in a compromising position. But we did say, give us your top 3 students who are seniors about to graduate and you would recommend. And wouldn't you know it, the head of the department came back with 1 recommendation. He didn't even give us 3. So we hired this individual, top talent. Was so good that obviously he was hired away from us later on for much more money than we could give him. So I would suggest maybe Virginia Tech would have a department of such sort. I am not a Virginia Tech graduate, so I couldn't direct you in that area, but I'm sure you could find a department head very easily. These senior students, I'm an engineer myself, are looking for a project to complete their senior studies and get their degree. So maybe that's a path. The second thing I'll offer you is I still remain in very close connection with this individual that I mentioned to you that was hired away from us. I don't know, where he is in his, what he wants to do, what he's focusing on doing, but I certainly would reach out to them and provide them information about you and your company and see if he has any ideas. A shot in the dark, I don't know if it'll yield anything, but beside everything everybody else has already offered as advice, which I think are sound, those are the only 2 I would add should you be interested. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
And just a reminder, we have about 9 minutes left of Q&A. So just make sure we're relatively concise. I'm not saying that because we're moving to John Rutenberg next, but John Rutenberg.
I'm so intimidated. So, sticking with this theme, I'd look at George Mason. I'd also look at the junior colleges. George Mason has many more tech. I don't know per person or percentage, but I see resumes from Mason all the time in the programming world. I also think the junior colleges have ability to provide students. Your 10 to 20 hours is not significant to many people who are full-time programmer kinds. They're looking for a little more longevity, and maybe you can produce that. It's great that you have the good level knowledge of the architecture, but you still need someone with 5 years of experience. I guess my recommendation would be to really narrow in on your staffing requirement of the first person who's going to work for you. Because on 10 to 20 hours a week, a 5-year person is going to be 50 plus bucks an hour. And so I think they exist, but you got to go to the places like Mason and junior colleges where they can work during the day in a junior college because the classes are at night.
Mhm.
And they need 15 to 20 hours.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
Real quick, Layla and Alyssa, Michael Butera dropped a question in chat earlier about how you're incorporated. Are you an LLC or what did you end up doing?
We're a C corporation.
You're a C Corp. Okay. Thank you.
In Delaware.
Nice. Okay. Karen.
So I'm very much coming from a space of prototyping and client research. And so my question to you is, or my recommendation to you is, if you haven't already done this, get as much clarity about what you need before you have the conversations with them. And you can do a lot of that, even if you're non-technical, you can do a lot of that even on paper or, in a simple computer program so that you're not wasting your time with the developer brainstorming. If you have a lot more clarity, I want this, I want this, I want this. They may push back and say, well, I'd recommend this. That's fine. But have as much clarity as you can before you go into it. And know that you can do a lot of things in a low-tech way. Paper and a pen, a simple graphics program on a computer, and you can design the look of a website before you even talk to a website designer. There's a lot of things you can do low tech to get your ideas out so that when you go in and have that conversation, you're not wasting time on those things.
That's a great point. Thank you.
Love it. Thanks, Karen. AJ.
Thank you, Jen. So talking about the development, we've been in the development world for a while. So one of my suggestions would be initial design architecture of the system is very, very important. And also, if you can have kind of, just to give you an example, 2 layers. One is the application, another is dependability on the operating systems, like iOS and Android, and tomorrow maybe something else. So if you can separate them and have the application development more focused, then your dependency on these developments like operating systems development will go down. And that way your design will be more generic, can be ported across the platforms. So something like this, if you guys, is in the initial design, if you can have, that's going to help you.
Thank you. It's really helpful.
Layla, this may be a long shot, and Alyssa, but I put some notes. I put them in a separate document because it's longer than the chat can handle. Around looking at South by Southwest. So that was where Twitter or X was discovered. But I think if your app could be used at South by Southwest, that could be very interesting. It might be cost prohibitive, but I don't know. You might as well look into it. It could be there's a Georgetown connection or introduction that could happen. There are speaking opportunities there, pitch opportunities. I know some of that is being reviewed and considered right now, so we're close on missing the window or being inside the window. But that would be my recommendation as well, to get a lot more sort of visibility to it. And at that point, the app, I feel like it'd be much further along and might be of interest to use there. All right, Melinda.
One thought I had, since we were talking about tech colleges, is what about high school? A lot of high schools have programs, and there may be some really, really bright students, juniors and seniors, that you may be able to get and mentor, and they can help you with things. And it might be a less expensive way because they're still learning and you're getting them at the right time. I'm not quite sure how you would do it in the metro area, but I'd be happy to try and explore that for you if you need me to see if there's a way to find out if any of the schools have tech programs, or are there tech high schools for people that are really tech? Because I know they do have that for other talents that high school students have.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it's just, I'm not entirely sure about high schools. If you had any ideas, that'd be great.
I'll explore it and then give you guys my results.
Thank you.
One other thought, Layla, and I think Melanie and other people can probably speak to this way better than I can. As you're thinking about hiring a technology person, just as a startup in general, I would draw out your org chart. And could the tech person you're hiring eventually be a CTO? Are they qualified to be that or not? I know one of the clients I'm working with right now, they have a mobile app and a web app. And the person doing the development, the plan is once they're done developing to bring them in as a fractional CTO. So I think also as you're thinking about building out your team, I would build out who are you going to have do the marketing, who's going to be the CTO, who's going to be operations, like what does that look like? That way you can just plan out when you think you will need those people and the budget. And there are lots of fractional roles you could do in the startup phase. So don't feel like you have to pay full price. You can approach it as you scale.
Yeah, that's really, really strong advice. Thank you.
Other thoughts from folks, please do raise your hand. Alyssa, Layla, any clarifying comments or things that you feel like maybe we haven't answered yet, but we could answer?
I think honestly, from my end, you guys are doing an amazing job, and I really appreciate everything.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
We try. John,
Yeah.
How are you guys funded right now?
Yeah, we are funded.
and how are you funded? Is it
Like, is it your money, friends and family? Is it an investor?
It's a combination of friends and family and safe investments.
okay?
And then I would tell you just to be very careful. Somebody made a suggestion. I'm not saying it didn't work for them, but I'd be very protective of your equity in trading that out for an employment contract. You know, smart people pay for what they can't do, and they obviously do what they can, so that doesn't cost them any money. But I would be very cautious of saying, you know, hey, person, we'll give you 5% of our company if you can build this app, because that's forever. That 5% is forever. So just be very cognizant of, you know, if you are, you know, I would tell you that to me, that would be one of your last options if you have funding versus leading with that. I mean, if you have no money, maybe you have no choice. But if you have money, you know, pay for those things to build out your product, and your ROI will be massive. Well more than 5% equity or something that you might have had to exchange. But again, it can work for some people. I'm not saying it's just be very careful.
Prudent advice. Melinda.
Have you reached out to any of the local media where there's a tech editor at one of the TV stations, or a talk show on a blog, or on radio or something like that? Because you may be able to get some leverage out of that too with their audience of reaching people.
That's a really strong idea. I'm wondering, as far as like knowing who to reach out, is there like a applications, or I haven't thought about that too much. That's a really good idea.
I could start to put some things together, and I see Jen nodding her head. Maybe the two of us could put something together for you.
That'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
Tom Shipe.
Imagine that. Even I was ready. I guess I didn't know that. So I want the two of you, because I'm a student of genealogy, to go home and hug your parents because you're just too damn smart. What the hell?
Tom's very jealous. He's like, dang it. Yeah, you guys are amazing. Obviously, we're thrilled to have you here. Other thoughts, questions from folks before we begin to wrap up? Oh, Layla and Alyssa, I did have a question. Are y'all pitching a Bark Tank?
We hope to.
We hope to. Definitely.
Please make sure you're applying in that process. I think Ted Leonsis could be all over this. I think he could definitely help give funding. Hopefully I'll be a coach this year, so let's do this. But yeah, don't miss out on that opportunity, please.
I do have.
Do you know when applications open?
Yeah, they should be opening shortly, but I will send you an email with all that information.
I do have one super quick question. This could be for anyone or Jen, if you want to weigh in. Just I know some of you guys saw our pitch the first time, and obviously we've now redone it. Is there anything that you note that you really liked about the change? Anything you remember from last time that you wish we included or kept out? Just like it could be quick little thoughts on the changes that we made.
I think I can
John
speak to
Norris.
that. Oh.
Yeah, I'm always hesitant. And I say this when I say not impressed. I don't mean that what you're doing not, but when you share market potential and projections, to be very candid, I have no idea where you're coming up with those numbers. And they could be pie in the sky, they could be realistic, they could be. I understand the potential of the market, but what I'm interested in is what is the real potential? If you're going to charge $5 a month and you're going to get 10,000 users, your potential 600 grand, not the fact that the market is $500 million. I just think you have to be very careful when you throw around large numbers. What are you trying to define is what I really would challenge you on is what are you trying to define? Because there's no way you're going to control a billion-dollar market, potentially.
That's a great point. And just to clarify, it was estimations of annual recurring revenue. So we did do some calculations. Maybe it wasn't clear, but we did have an appendix with how we exactly got to those numbers. Would you prefer us walk through some of that process in our presentation itself?
Well, I think what would be interesting is if you look at, say, Facebook users or Twitter users or X, what are their metrics? And realistically, if you're comparing yourself to X right now, I mean, let's be candid, that's not even realistic. It's taken years for that business to mature. So if you said in the first year X had 1,000 users, well, okay, I probably believe that you could get 1,000 users or something in that range.
I think, John, does it sound like what you're looking more for is a realistic cash flow or revenue projection?
Yeah, I mean, just something where, yeah, right.
Actually going to get there. Yeah.
Right.
Because these numbers on this slide, although helpful, we actually want to know if you got 1,000 students at Georgetown, how much revenue is that? If Wells Fargo decided to sponsor you, how much revenue is that? And when you go to Bark Tank, you will need those numbers. This is too pie in the sky.
Yeah, and if you're asking $5, what if they offer you $1? I mean, are you going to turn it down? You know what I mean? You have to ask yourself, I mean, what you want, what reality. You don't really know that your price point is good until you actually offer it to somebody and they either say great or no. You won't know if your price point is actually realistic until you take it to market. I mean, is a $10 pizza a good value? You don't know until you actually open up your store and see if people are willing to pay $10 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is super, super helpful. Thank you so much.
All right, we've got 4 hands raised and we've got about 1 minute. So let's please keep it very, very short. Melinda.
One of the things I thought, and I've been talking to Melanie about it, is connection. It's a really big thing today, and you don't really talk about how much you have connected people, especially in this AI world and when you're stuck in your books and all the other stuff. You might want to do some focus groups just very quickly as an idea with folks that are already part of your network. And I can help you brainstorm that, but I think if you think about the word connection and what you're doing for people connecting at a young age, I think that's really gonna blow it out of the water.
Thank you, Michael.
As to your question about presentation, when you showed your demo, I think you either have to narrate it or put the audio to it because it's too fast for anybody to really see as good as it was.
Yes.
Thank you.
The other thing I think is missing, and I don't think it's in the appendix either, is a tech roadmap. So showing what things will be ready by release, and it can just be for the next 12 months, but it being able to show that I think is helpful for investors if you're putting in cash flow assumptions to know how those line up. And I think the pitch was great. It's definitely, I mean, last time you did it was great. It's even better now. I liked how you pointed out Mark Zuckerberg making our social circles AI, right? A very pithy but relevant statement. So with that, I'm going to ask Amy to reshare the slides. What else can our community do for you, Layla and Alyssa?
Alyssa, do you want to start? Take that.
I honestly love all the advice and the connections that you guys have provided us today. Definitely will make an effort to reach out to you guys and follow up. If anyone comes to mind, if anything else comes to mind, like definitely reach out. We provide our emails here if that helps at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just add like really quickly, again, like we're just so grateful for everything. You guys have been such an amazing community that have taken us so far. So we're just so grateful. And then I would say just continuing to be a community that we can lean on throughout this whole term, the stretch of, you know, taking this somewhere big. And if we ever pop into mind, like do shoot us an email, or even if it's like something small or news comes out, like just share anything with us that you think might be beneficial. That would be super helpful.
All right, with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Melinda.
Next slide, please. Next week's presenter is AJ. AJ, is there anybody you would like us to bring to the meeting for you? You're on mute.
So my presentation would be on coupons, basically introducing dynamic coupons. So the focus market there is the retail kind of businesses. You know, if they're there, they'll have like the food joints, you know, I haven't thought about it. I can send you that, but anyone in the retail would be a prime target for this application.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Oh, before you, well, I can talk it. If you would like to become a presenter, there was a QR code. There is one right here. So please apply. We are looking to fill our calendars for the rest of the year. And talk to any of us organizers. We can help you and hold your hand along the way. Next slide, please. Upcoming events. We'll copy this and put it into the chat, but these are the places we usually go to look for what's going on in the community in the Metro DC area. Veterans Growing America. Donnell was the person who started the 1 Million Cups, and that's a really, really great group. And BNI is a really good group to get your feet wet in your local community. So talk to Jen and some of the other members that we have that are actively members of this group as well. Next slide, please. Presenter schedule. We basically have the month of September open after AJ, so we're looking for presenters. So if you know anybody like Lewis, we would love to have you as a presenter. And we can follow up with you and help you with that. Please help us find some presenters. Next slide, please. And please spread the word. We're on all social media, from Facebook to LinkedIn to X, YouTube, where our videos are. Scan this and all of our links are in one place. Next slide, please. And thank you. We're going to open this up to open networking and just chatting a little bit more. And if anybody has any other ideas they want to share with Alyssa and Layla, you can do that now too. open conversation. And thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Great job, everybody. I'm going to drop our YouTube channel link in chat. We are 2 subscribers away from 100. So if any of you have not subscribed, please click and get us over the 100 mark.
Also,
Great job to Alyssa and Layla. Fantastic job.
I have one
yeah,
comment
sorry.
that I was going to
Sure,
make.
please.
And my one comment is I would make sure that you have a really good, tight lawyer from here on in from a business perspective, because you need to protect what you have, especially if you're in discussions with big companies. You can end up giving your business away and you don't even realize it. So that would be, I mean, I think the application would be great for my granddaughters. I probably wouldn't at my age, but I know my granddaughters would love it. But I would just hate to see you lose something that you're on the crux of maybe having something that's potentially big because you don't have the right legal support. So if you have any extra funds, that's where I'd be devoting it.
And Alyssa and Layla, are you guys working with the Georgetown lawyers that are available? If not, I can send you their email. So if you want a second set of eyes to look at what you have, that you have that.
You know, and in determining your audience, of course, you're in college now, and a lot of college students have Apple and iPhone and alike, but it is not by far the most used product. By far, the most used product are the Android phones. So you want to put that into your consideration. I don't know if that's because you're in college now and that's what you see a lot of, because I heard someone say, 80% of the students have X. If students are your audience, that's fine. But if students are not your audience, that's not fine. And the second point is, I have a podcast that I do for the association community. And when you're ready, I'd be happy to have both you on the podcast to, within reason, pitch your concept to people.
Well, thank you, Michael. I wasn't gonna volunteer you for that, but thanks for making that offer.
Thank you so much.
I was going to do that.
Layla and
So
Alyssa, I just sent you the lawyer info too, so it's in your inbox. Sorry, John.
also, if you guys will reach out to me, I have a developer buddy who I haven't spoken to in 6 or 8 months, but from time to time has done development work on the side. He has a full-time job, but he does part-time gigs. He's he's reliable and he's legit, but he's also more expensive because he's probably 45 plus years old and therefore 20 years into his career. But he does, in certain ways, 15 hours a week is just a gig to some people. And that's okay, because while you ultimately may find a CTO, it sounds like you have task orders that need to be completed to keep moving you forward. And finding someone who's legit is key. And this guy may be senior to what you want, but we can follow up and at least I can reach out to him and see if he's awake.
There's a testimonial if I've ever heard one.
Hey, I've used him for years.
Well, that's great. All right, so I'm gonna stop recording on that note. Thank you,
Good, I
everybody.
didn't say his name, right?
That's right.